So the voices in my head, ever since they've been in my head, I have not been able to keep track of, well, I wasn't, I mean, initially I wasn't able to keep track of anything, because I was just so concerned with someone stalking me and moving. My mind was just so occupied that I don't know what happened, but 12 yearbooks were misplaced, for both my son and my daughter. And it's a combination. My kids moved 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 times to 6 different schools. And I am trying to gather the yearbooks, except now although some of them have hard copies, I don't know where to print them. So I'm calling around to figure out how to do this, and the voices in my head keep saying, fuck you, you stupid bitch, ha ha ha, we're fucking you over you and your fucking daughter. And no one gives a shit, and what do you think happened to your friend, Bernadette, because there weren't very many photos of her. And the voices keep saying they're terrorists, they're Egyptian Americans living in California, and they're like, you and your kids will leave without it, you'll die without a trace. I mean, I'm on the internet all the time, I don't care. But my daughter, after going through trying to organize myself, it took me 6 years to organize myself, okay? Because, 3 years. It took me a couple of years to organize myself, but 3 years I thought they were stalking me, and then 2 years I was just trying to get to work, and all my energy was focused on ignoring the voices. In the last year, I decided to go seek medical attention, and since then I've been able to kind of manage both learning how to cope with the voices and still multitask. Before it was impossible. I was just going to work and trying to ignore it, and that was the most that I could do. So now that I'm going back and trying to gather all my life and my kids' memorabilia, I can't find anything on my daughter, and the voices in my head keep saying they're going to keep abusing me, and it's obvious my daughter is affected by it, and they don't care if she's too embarrassed to want to take pictures, or she doesn't want to go out, experience anything, and they don't give a shit if I don't have money to send her to learn an instrument or be in sports. I want to cry my eyes out. I bawled last night over this. I'm bawling because these psychopaths are women that keep saying they don't have kids and they don't give a shit, okay, about my kids if they can't have kids. Because they're going to get sentenced to death for me being so open and honest about hearing them in my head. There are women voices. They speak Arabic fluently. I understand. I'm Egyptian as well. And the voices are literally in my head, constantly trying to get me kicked out. I was asked to leave 2 places of residence where I thought I was being stalked, and I would turn up the music to the max. I mean, at midnight, at crazy hours. I'm sure they thought I was on drugs, trying to drown out the voices. They're trying to get me emotionally stimulated and stupid again, in hopes that they'll do this for a 3rd or 4th time. By the time I realized it was in my head, I was just dealing with it silently, which is really what they want me to do. They don't want me to say shit. They don't want me to see a doctor. They don't want me, they don't want me doing shit for my kids. They don't want me doing shit for myself. They don't want me doing shit. I mean, they keep making me swell after I did my mommy makeover, and they're making fun of me haha, your results are going to come out shit because I'm going to make sure that you end up with fibrosis, that your results look like shit. Haha, I've aged you. Look at all this, and look how much of your hair fell out. You have bald spots everywhere, you stupid bitch. Look at this. This is what they're saying to me. Okay, and I mean look at this. haha, your earning potential. I'm fucking serious. One of the women voice, I'm fucking serious. And then our stupid brother or stupid man will sit there like a fucking psycho swinger. Like, you have to listen to her if she says something. Like, I am just so, this is disgusting. They're disgusting. And he says it in a way like he's like really a swinger. Like he's expecting people to fucking lick her twat. The bitch is a fucking, and honest to God, the women sound like, it's not that I have a problem with homosexuals, but to force it on you. Like the terrorist whores I hear in my head are straight lesbians, and they want to force that shit on you. And they want to tell you what is important, what's sexy, talking about your condition makes you look stupid, makes your family look bad. The bitches in my head are straight terrorists, I swear to God. They live in California. They're in Orange County and LA County. I promise you. And these weapons aren't like your average weapons. They'll make you look schizophrenic. They'll make you look like you have Tourette's. And if you're not honest about your condition, people will probably think you're cussing them out, or that you're always angry, or, you're talking to someone and you're just a disrespectful person. Like, you have to really outwardly come out, because they're constantly in your head trying to abuse your image, abuse you until they torture you to death. They are terrorists. They are Egyptian American terrorists, and the women in particular, they're laundering money and they're taking it back to Egypt and parts of the Middle East, and they're stashing money because I don't owe them money and I don't know them. Like, I have never encountered, other than people that attend my church, I don't know anyone, and they're saying they're Muslim, which I don't know any. I've known two since after I heard voices that I met at the grocery store, and one of which whose daughter went to my daughter's school, and we happen to be great friends, invited me to their house. I've invited them over. It's not that these people are hiding in a house using computers that are operating these weapons that aren't detected by the five senses, and truly can give you brain damage, can truly give you a heart attack, can give you can damage your pancreas and make you and you'll end up with diabetes. That it's just their voices in my head, and they're saying they're responsible for some serious crimes. And the United States government has been after them for quite some time, because what they'll do is they'll scream in my head or other people's head, like homeless people who we see talking to themselves all the time. So they're out in the public eye, but they're not in front of cameras, and they're addicts, okay, or being drugged and dragged around using this telepathy weapon, like what they're trying to do with me. Although they're not drugging me. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't smoke. But what they'll do is they'll sit there and poke at these people's insecurities and like do what they've done to me until that person looks insane and is isolated, and then everyone that and then that person may be just innocently trying to smoke weed and just get a little break away from the psychoness happening in their head, but they're too scared to go. Their parents condemn it, or their friends condemn it, and they're afraid to get the medical professionals to think they're completely out of their minds, or they're afraid they're going to go to jail because of it, whatever the case is. And then they'll end up in the street away from cameras talking to themselves, because the psycho terrorists are talking in their head, making sure that they avoid all cameras, all police, all medical attention, making sure that they have low hygiene, no support, no family, no nothing, and they're sitting there being trafficked. The voices in my head, I promise to God, are trying to traffic me. They're trying to throw me out on the street, have me begging for money away from cameras. They keep telling me, you're ugly, you're ugly. Ha ha, look at your hair, you stupid bitch, you stupid bee. They are terrorists. They're living in California. They're in Orange County and LA County. And that's exactly why Bill Gates and several other high-end or higher these higher ups want to bring down drones and start surveilling, because these terrorists are sitting there saying, oh, we need to investigate. How do you know? Oh, which, by the way, I was going to say, they're talking in my head, trying to pretend they're outside. Okay, so I sit here and put my phone down so that, because if there are records involved, which again, I've said this a million times, if there are records involved with this and they're classified records for the telepathy aspect of and there are no cameras around, then in fact, if there's no camera to capture the sound around that individual who's being targeted by these terrorists using this very discreet telepathy mind control weapon, okay, then it's easy for any of these bitches to say, hey, that person is avoiding cops, they're negligent, they could have been a part of a crime, and we want to pursue investigating all of these people who were in his network or whatever the case may be. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, I am so scared shitless that the bitches talking in my head are going to get away with, excuse my language, terrorists, that I am just like all the time, like, you can't hear shit in my four walls. I have the right to do this, and anywhere where I go, I make sure there are cameras to capture the sound around me. And the voices in my head, they're acting, they don't want to, they keep talking, and it's just weird. And I'm like, well, why do you do that? If you don't want me to tell anybody, why are you talking in my head? And I'm just like, well, then you must have like friends on top of it that are doing it, because what, you want to be identity, like, and then they have specific voices, and I keep listening to these schizophrenics who are saying the same thing, and then but everyone has a discrete voice. Some are saying, it almost sounds like my mom, but it doesn't, or it sounds like my girlfriend. And so I'm like, okay, so you guys have like these designated voice prints that you use while you talk in people's heads. And then you sit there and so that people, you don't cross over on someone else's investigation. So you guys don't pull each other in case one of you gets asked to, by the Central Intelligence agencies that regulate them, to, if they were to audit these files, then it would specify whose records exactly they are and who's responsible for them. And so I'm like, oh, so, and this goes on and on and on. And I just keep asking these questions, and I'm just like, and anyways, so back to my daughter, back to me.